The best inventions solve practical problems in daily life, doing so efficiently and with a touch of flair. But sometimes things don't quite go that way. Sometimes inventions can appear rather strangely weird, either because they attempt to solve problems that do not exist, or they attempt to do so in very odd and peculiar ways. So join us for today's video as we're going to count down 15 absolutely strange inventions from the past that should have never existed, from brain-controlled cat ears to glowing car tires. And hats, expect plenty of weird hats, starting with number 15. The monowheel motorbike. Back in 1932, someone looked at a regular motorbike and thought, what if we just had one giant wheel and sat inside it? That someone was John Archibald Purves, and his brainchild was the Dynasphere, a petrol-powered monowheel that looked like a hamster wheel built for chaos. During a test run on Bryn Sands in the UK, his own son piloted this oddball creation, which could hit speeds of 48 kilometers per hour. But practicality was a no-show. Steering the thing was a nightmare, the balance was fragile, and then there was gerbiling, where hard braking launched the driver into a full-on tumble inside the machine. It stood over 3 meters tall, turned like a drunken shopping cart, and felt more like a dare than a vehicle. Despite its wild energy and futuristic dreams, the Dynasphere never rolled into real life. It turns out that making a motorcycle that behaves like a carnival ride wasn't the future of transportation, it was just a really bad idea with great photos. Well, just imagine these alien-looking bikes on today's roads. Number 14. The portable hat radio. Yes, this was the actual thing. Long before headphones became fashion statements and AirPods lived in our ears, someone thought the future of portable sound was a straw hat. In the 1930s, an inventor in Berlin created a radio hat, a literal hat, wired up with a full-on radio system, complete with antennas poking out like insect feelers. The concept made it onto the cover of Radio Electronics in 1949, but its lifespan was about as short as its battery life. Besides looking like something from a Looney Tunes skit, the hat struggled with signal issues, was incredibly awkward to wear, and made people look like walking science experiments. Other versions came in different materials, but nothing could save the idea from its clunkiness. Once the transistor radio dropped in the 50s, with its compact size and real-world usability, the radio hat quietly disappeared from the scene. It's one of those inventions that tried too hard to be ahead of its time, and instead ended up looking like it came from a parallel cartoon universe. Number 13. The mass shaving machine. Let's be very honest. At a glance, it sounds like something from a silent-era comedy. Rows of men seated side by side, faces covered in shaving foam, all waiting for a giant mechanical blade to glide past. But this wasn't a slapstick routine. It was a real invention. In the 19th century, when clean-shaven faces became the norm and time was tight, barbers started experimenting with mass shaving machines. This device could supposedly shave up to 12 men at once. Foam was applied across the board, then a mechanical blade did the rounds. Now there was just one tiny problem. Everyone's face is shaped differently, and machines aren't exactly known for their finesse. Cuts were common, uneven shaves even more so, and it wasn't long before the idea faded into obscurity. The whole thing had industrial revolution energy, trying to turn self-care into factory efficiency. But there's a reason we don't trust razors mounted to swinging arms anymore. Some routines just aren't meant to be streamlined with machinery. Number 12. Nekomimi Brainwave cat ears. This is one of those inventions where you almost expect it to be a prank until you realize people actually bought it like GTA 6 game. In 2011, a company in Japan released Nekomimi, a headband equipped with a brainwave sensor and cat ears. Yes, actual ears that move depending on your mood. Concentrating, the ears perk up. Feeling relaxed, they droop. Supposedly designed to help with non-verbal communication, it quickly found a home among cosplayers and anime fans who were more interested in the aesthetic than the utility. It doesn't do much, certainly not anything that could justify the price tag, but it taps into something deeper. A mix of cuteness, curiosity, and tech for tech's sake. Despite being undeniably weird, it somehow carved out its own niche. But let's be honest, it's not solving a problem, it's not making life easier, and it's definitely not discreet. It's tech cosplay at its finest, adorably absurd, mostly useless, and strangely unforgettable in all the wrong ways. What do you think about it? Number 11. The face glove. Some beauty trends age like good old wine. This one aged like milk left out in the sun. The face glove was a turn-of-the-century American beauty invention that promised to preserve youthful skin, eliminate blemishes, and keep ladies looking fresh-faced. The look? Terrifying. Think rubbery horror mask meets Victorian spa day. Worn overnight and made from flexible Indian rubber, the glove was supposed to induce sweating to open pores and cleanse the skin. But that's just the start. Competing versions soon popped up, filled with substances like sulfur, lead, and even asbestos, all in the name of clear skin. Invented by Madame Helen M. Rowley, a milliner-turned-skincare visionary, it quickly caught on among women of refinement. But instead of glowing complexions, many ended up with rashes, burns, or worse. It's one of those inventions that tried to bottle youth, but ended up being a dermatological disaster. It's proof that just because it's marketed as beauty tech, doesn't mean it belongs anywhere near your face. Number 10. The loop-to-loop double bicycle. Some ideas are so ambitious, they trip over their own genius. That's exactly where K. Lang's 1905 bicycle landed, right in the strange space between bold innovation and outright lunacy. Lang imagined a bicycle capable of performing a full loop-the-loop on a track. But instead of adding power or reinforcement, he stacked one bicycle upside down on top of another, welded them together, and placed the rider snugly in between. 4 wheels, 2 frames, and 1 very risky seat. The logic? As the lower wheels lost contact, the upper ones would take over. On paper, maybe. In practice, it reads more like a blueprint for neck injuries. The setup was clunky, the mechanics laughably impractical, and the danger off the charts. The design never reached mass production or even a test ride the public ever heard about. It likely stayed trapped in patent limbo, right where it probably belonged. A 2-story bike that tried to cheat gravity and thankfully never got the chance. Number 9. Tomaton. Somewhere between performance gear and parody, Japan's tomato juice brand Kagome cooked up a head-turner, a wearable robot that feeds you tomatoes while you run. It wasn't a joke from the ODA story, at least not officially. Dubbed it Tomaton, this mechanical backpack featured a clunky headpiece and robotic arms designed to deliver tomatoes one by one straight into the mouth of the runner mid-marathon. The reasoning was that tomatoes are hydrating and packed with nutrients. But let's be real, running 26 miles with a mini tomato cannon strapped to your shoulders isn't exactly what most athletes are looking for. The device was built for promotional buzz, and in that regard, it delivered. Photos went viral. People laughed, but no one actually wanted to wear the thing. Between the awkward motion, the bouncing weight, and the very real risk of getting smacked in the face with a tomato, it was destined for the novelty bin. Not all inventions aim to change the world, some are just here for the photo op. Number 8. Glowing tires by Goodyear. There's no denying the aesthetic. A car rolling down the street at night, tires glowing like neon halos, it sounds like something out of a sci-fi dream. In 1961, Goodyear turned that dream into reality. They created tires made from translucent synthetic rubber and lit them from the inside with bulbs mounted on the wheels. You could get them in white, blue, green, red, and orange. But as dazzling as they were, the problems lit up even brighter. Wet roads turned them slick. Heavy braking made them melt. And once the novelty wore off, drivers realized glowing tires didn't do much for actual driving. They were expensive, hard to maintain, and let's face it, a liability. As much as they turned heads, they never turned the market. The whole idea was shelved quietly after a few brief demonstrations. They were fun, no doubt, but the fun doesn't always belong on the highway, especially when your tires double as mood lighting and melt under pressure. Number 7. The hay fever hat. Allergy season can be brutal, and sometimes, desperate times inspire bizarre solutions. Enter Kenji Kawakami's hay fever hat. It wasn't just a quirky fashion statement, it was a literal tissue dispenser mounted to your head. A full roll of paper sat above like a toilet tank with ambition, feeding tissue down a mechanical arm to keep your nose in constant supply. Kawakami, the founder of Chindog, the art of useless but oddly practical inventions, designed it as a joke with just enough function to confuse people. That was kind of the point. It wasn't made to sell, it was made to exist. Like many of his designs, shoe umbrellas, Swiss Army gloves, its weirdness with intent. The hay fever hat didn't catch on, but it stood as a monument to over-engineering life's annoyances. Was it functional? Well, it was, but barely. Was it elegant? Well, we can confidently say it's not even close. But in a world where allergies show no mercy, a head-mounted tissue roll might be the absurd hero nobody asked for, yet everyone secretly respects. Number 6. The chain smoker device. Back when cigarette smoke practically floated out of every public building and doctors still appeared in tobacco ads, someone looked at a single cigarette and thought, not enough. That's how the chain smoker device was born, a contraption that lets you smoke 10 cigarettes at once, all held neatly in a metal bracket. You didn't puff one at a time, you inhaled like a chimney on a deadline. The image alone is jarring. 10 smokes lit at once, the user gripping the device with both hands like a harmonica of destruction. It wasn't sold as satire, it was, for a brief moment, considered an efficient solution for those who couldn't be bothered with moderation. Of course, this was before lung cancer ads haunted every billboard and smoking bans swept the globe. In hindsight, it looks like something out of a post-apocalyptic cartoon. But for a sliver of time, this monstrosity was real and perfectly legal. It's the kind of invention that aged worse than the habit it enabled. Number 5. The cat meow machine. Somewhere in 1960s Japan, someone genuinely believed they could outwit nature with a box that meowed. The plan was pretty simple. Build a mechanical cat that could scare off rats and mice by letting out 10 meows per minute, complete with glowing eyes. That was it, just sound and spooky eyes. It didn't move. It didn't chase. It certainly didn't scratch the furniture or knock cups off the table. In theory, this fake feline was the perfect alternative to a real cat. Less mess, less attitude. In practice, it was an underwhelming noise machine that rodents quickly learned to ignore. It didn't make anyone feel less lonely. It didn't curl up on the bed and definitely didn't offer any actual rodent control. If anything, it was more of a weird audio ornament than a functioning gadget. But it still stands as one of those rare inventions where the gap between idea and execution wasn't just wide. It was a chasm filled with tiny mice who just kept walking past. Number 4. Mustache shield. Facial hair might have been a statement of elegance back in the 1800s, but it came with its share of daily inconveniences, particularly when the soup was involved. Enter Virgil Gates, who in 1876 patented a mustache shield, a small guard made of metal or rubber that hung in front of the face and attached behind the ears with elastic bands. The whole contraption was designed to keep mustaches dry while eating and drinking. Logical? Maybe. Comfortable or stylish? Not in the slightest. Picture sipping tea with a metal plate dangling in front of your lip like a chastity belt for your face. It didn't win fans. It didn't win fashion points. And it certainly didn't survive beyond the novelty stage. Most men either tilted their heads back, wiped the stash clean, or just accepted the occasional splash of gravy. The shield ended up being less of a grooming tool and more of an awkward conversation piece that no one asked for but history somehow recorded anyway. Number 3. The Fliz bike. It has 2 wheels, handlebars, and a frame, but calling it a bicycle would be pushing it. The Fliz, unveiled in 2012, was a carbon fiber rethink of Baron Karl Drazz's 1817 Lauf machine, the world's first bike. Except the Fliz took things even further back by removing one very basic element, the seat. Instead of sitting, riders were suspended from a harness beneath the curved frame, feet skimming the ground like a toddler learning to walk. To gain speed, you had to run. To stop, you had to hope. And comfort, that wasn't really part of the package. The idea was to blend walking and riding, but what it created instead was a bizarre hybrid that made everyone look like they were being dangled mid-sprint. There was no gear system, no pedals, no brakes, just you, the frame, and a lot of strange looks from everyone watching. It never caught on, which isn't surprising. The Fliz might have had modern materials, but its core concept stayed stuck in the past. Number 2. Pet rock. In the mid-1970s, one man figured out how to sell absolutely nothing and made a fortune doing it. Gary Dahl introduced the pet rock, a small, smooth stone packaged inside a ventilated cardboard box, complete with straw bedding and an ironic care manual. It didn't bark, it didn't need feeding, and it would never die. And people bought it. A lot of people. At its peak, over 1 million were sold in the span of a few months. For $5, you have the most low-maintenance companion on Earth. But like most novelty crazes, the charm faded quickly. Sales plummeted just as fast as they had skyrocketed, and pet rock quietly disappeared by early 1976. Still, it wasn't really about the rock, it was the absurdity that sold. In a world full of responsibility, someone gave people permission to laugh at how ridiculous consumer culture could be, and then charged them for it. And honestly, that's the most brilliant part of the whole thing. This man was a genius. Number 1. The V-shaped bed. Before Pilates became a trendy workout, Joseph Pilates himself was already inventing things most people didn't know existed, like the V-shaped bed. After moving to the US, he filed a patent in 1930 for a bed with a raised center and angled sides, designed to support the spine, legs, and arms in a rigid, symmetrical position. It was supposed to help improve posture and offer deeper, restorative sleep. What it actually did was make sleeping feel like lying in a very stylish trench. The slope may have aligned bones in theory, but in reality, it wasn't exactly cozy. Tossing and turning became a workout. Blankets slid, people didn't wake up refreshed. They woke up annoyed. The design never took off with the general public, who mostly preferred comfort over formality. While Pilates would go on to revolutionize fitness, his V-shaped bed never got that second act. It now sits in the archives of weird wellness ideas, where effort was noble, but the execution just never invited a good night's rest. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon in the next one.